I'm resident of Collinwood, Joel Sage, joined by Gordon Dymowski and Patrick McCray. We're here to talk about The Prisoner, the Chimes of Big Ben. I got to tell you, I really love this episode, guys. Really, really good, really well shot. And I really like how you have this girl who seems to be for Patrick McGoon's number 6 character, but she's really not. What did you guys make of this episode?
On The Prisoner. What I think of this episode?
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you're finally letting us talk about it instead of insisting that we talk about Checkmate. Yeah, Gordon and I, we keep trying to talk about this darn thing, and you've foiled us at every turn. So I'm just
it's like I am so glad to finally talk about a non-chess related Prisoner episode.
This is Twister related, in fact.
Yeah.
It's called Right Foot Green was the original title. So yeah, no, Jewel, no. No, Ed, what do we think of this episode? Gordon, what do you think of this episode?
I think it's not only a really good episode, and we can talk about this one fact later. I think it's the closest we ever come to learning why number 6 resigned.
Well, because for a very long time, I think that's... What else do we find out?
Let's see. We find out that Poland is 1 hour ahead of England in terms of time.
Yeah.
Well, we also find out that according to, as they're escaping, they're having this conversation, and she calls him, she says Big Bill, and he says it's Big Ben. She calls Big Ben the clock Big Bill, and he sort of smiles about it a bit. Number 6 does, Patrick McGoon's character, and the woman in this, she says she stumbled upon the file of the village, which it's like that's real convenient, which I found really that's a unique sort of, you could either take it as a lie or you could take it as a truth. I just take it as complete BS.
Yeah, it's a lie, because at the end, as she's leaving, she said, it's clear that she was in on it the whole time, and not just like, okay, person who's a resident of the village who just happened to help out. I mean, it's the implication is she's part of whoever is running this thing.
Yeah. What, Gordon, before we get too much further into it, why was this an episode that had an alternate cut that was floating around for so long?
I really don't know. I know that the alternate cut had like a sequence with Patrick McGoon using a triquilum, which is kind of an old-fashioned navigation aspect. There's a slot of stars that was actually stolen from Stanley Kubrick's 2001. And then at the end, there's this the end music was different, and then it kind of went to this like weird planet galaxy thing, and then it would say pop.
Which
I think
meant protect other people?
Yes. And I kind of wonder if it was just like someone within the production had to say, okay, Patrick, you need to cut down on the amphetamines. You need to trim a few minutes out. I'm sorry, dude. No, like time out.
Is it? Well, here's a question, because I have no idea. Is this an episode that had multiple endings, maybe?
No.
Yeah. So, is this something where just Patrick McGoon, maybe because he was the executive producer, chimed in on about other things about this episode, or no?
No, I get the idea maybe it was one of the first ones cut together. They shot a body of them and then they got around to cutting them together, and that's why it had different theme music. And it was real swinging theme music, by the way. And the piece, I think, shows up in other. It's I think it's that.
I think I do have a possible answer, and that is I'm looking at Wikipedia as we speak, and it's that it mentions that there was during the production of the last 4 episodes, there was a press conference in Borehamwood on September 1967. And this was one of the episodes, along with Arrival, that was shown to the press. So what probably happened was the alternate was a working print. And so they probably said, okay, maybe this is a little bit too much, if the press is reacting to it. And of course, the British press is kind of dull and boring anyway. So they probably took that stuff out. But there's really but plot-wise, it's pretty much beat for beat similar. There's just 2 sequences that are taken out.
I remember though when it hit VHS in, I guess maybe the mid to late 80s, it was a big deal to see. I was really excited to watch it, and it was intriguing. It was kind of like an Earth 2 parallel time prisoner episode, if only because of the opening theme music being different, the whole pop thing at the end.
What did you guys make of the girl who they cast? What did you think of number 8?
She's charming. I mean, she really is a charm. If anyone could get to number 6, she's a good candidate.
Good.
Yeah, and it's such a shame they that she's acting against a guy who's like, oh no lovey-dovey stuff with actresses, because she's putting her heart and she puts in a really good performance, but you're never quite convinced. Instead of being convinced that okay, maybe number 6 is falling for her, at least I was thinking that number 6 is just kind of like stringing her along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. I guess he's got the character in Do Not Forsake Me.
Mm-hmm.
But if we consider that canon, but other than that, I mean, he doesn't seem to have that much of a love life.
No, I found it really weird that he's so, again, because the order they show this in, this is the 2nd episode. So, which is like, okay, so he's fooled that by her that because she tries to escape on it, like as soon as she gets there, she starts swimming out to. She does the same thing he tries to do. Well, he doesn't try to swim out, but he tries to escape as soon as he gets there too. But she tries to escape as soon as she gets there by swimming out to sea, and you see this from a really interesting perspective. You actually see this from number 2's perspective, and as an audience, you're being told that she won a medal or something, or she competed as a swimmer. So it's like, okay, is this legit? Is she somebody? They're really trying to deceive you, the audience, as much as they're trying to deceive number 6 in this episode, which that I like, because it's trying to string you along as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, she could be an award-winning swimmer who also happens to be like part and parcel of running the village.
Sure, knows where Rover's going to be. Rover knows to leave her alone, or actually knows when to buoy her up when she needs it underwater. She's cruising along on the little guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's really going along, and then she gets brought to shore. And I like how Patrick McGowan's character is really concerned about her, and then they're like, "Don't touch her." So it's like, oh, that was really interesting. They told him not to touch her at all. Maybe at first I thought, well, is it because of Rover bringing her back, and there's some sort of rule that somebody who's not a medical staff can't touch somebody that Rover touches?
Maybe. You want to see my impression of Rover?
Sure.
Because my head, never mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing in terms of this episode, and I think this is why Leo McKern is maybe the best number 2 ever, and why they brought him back several times. Most of the number 2s to this point have been very professional. very informal, very pretty much, okay, it's my job, I'm going to break you. Leo McKern's number 2 is like he's goading number 6 into it. He's saying things like, hey, I don't mind woodworking, but no chisels, no axes.
Blind eye, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's kind of steering number 6 into choices. And I think having them say, don't touch her, that was kind of a test to see how he would respond. There's a difference between someone being gallant who's going to make sure someone is all right, and someone who's just going to look at her as, oh, okay, well, what do I do? What do I do? So I think that whole keep back was a deliberate. They weren't looking for him to rescue her. They were looking for the response.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like how number 2 calls number 6. Hey, I need you to come to the hospital. This is sort of where he agrees to. Well, he does agree to, because he's watching her trying to escape her room, and he's like, "Let her go." He yells at 2. I think we have a nominee for out yelling Keith Prentice with Patrick McGowan. He yells to let her go, and he agrees to play along, to sort of do stuff, to compete, to try to settle down. And it's all BS. He's not really trying to settle down. He's wanting to escape, and he's going to take this girl away from the village. Because I agree with you. At first, throughout this episode, I sort of thought, it's so tough. McGowan's a tough read, because it's like, is he playing her too? This was really tricky, but really well written.
Yeah, there's a lot of ambiguity.
Yeah, and it's I think 2 things kind of help. One is that McGowan was always known as an intense actor. So like he would be like, if you put he and Keith Prentice in a room on Dark Shadows, Prentice will probably do a little bit more actorly stuff and put inside dynamics in it, but McGowan is going to keep hitting that mark, because that's who he is.
Yeah.
The other is in the documentary Don't Knock Yourself Out, which you can find on YouTube. The writer of the episode was actually ticked off because in the script he had number 6 actually do things like try to kiss and kind of intimate that, yeah, maybe he's falling for this girl, and McGowan would not absolutely do it. And I think that the way McGowan is playing it, I mean, there's a way you can do reserved and ambiguous without being a bit cold. I mean, even in the scenes where he's having his arm around her, whether it's his daughter or it's a stuntman or whatever, he never comes across as, he always comes across as, okay, this woman is my way out. Where I think maybe the actress kind of may have overplayed it against his resolve, but it comes out a little bit more genuine and a little bit more friendly versus kind of, I just wanted to tell her, hey, you know what? Number 6 is just not that into you. Because he has a man crush on Leo McKern. There, I said it.
It's true. There we go. Well, Leo wants a pal. I'm serious. It's really, to me, it's pretty clear that once Leo, breaks number 2 or whatever, breaks number 6, that he has a pal. I'm not suggesting anything weird, but he kind of sees him as a sort of a colleague, certainly an equal, if not potentially his superior in terms of will and intelligence.
Yeah, and even the
excites him.
Yeah, and even early on when McKern gives that speech about, it's not one side or the other, it's just going to be this whole international community. He's not speaking like, this is the big bad that you need to face on. It's like one guy telling another guy at the bar, like, you know what? I know the deal.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's not good, it's not bad, it's just what's going to be.
Yeah. What's your favorite scene in this episode?
Oh boy, all of them. There are lots. I think probably where he's dealing with the different sort of art fans who are looking at the art piece. It is what it says. It says what it means. And number two is playing along. That's really funny because I feel like briefly, both number two and number six are making fun of the other people at the exhibit, at the judges.
Yeah. Gordon?
I love that scene, but I also love the scene at the end where he discovers it's all a sham.
Oh, in the office where he finds the cord and he starts following it.
And again, just before that, where we get he's talking to the colonel, and he's asked why he resigned, and he says, "I resigned as a matter of conscience." And as he's about to share something, he hears the chimes of Big Ben, and he's like, "That's when he has the, hey, wait a minute, I got this watch in Poland. Poland's an hour ahead of London. Why is this 8 chimes and not 7?" or words to that effect. Because I think that's where first that's the closest we will ever come to learning why he resigned, and I think that's just good enough. You don't need you don't need him to say, "I know the plans for blah 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 blah." Matter of conscience. That tells you everything you need to know. And then he starts pulling at the wires, discovers a tape recorder with the city noises, and then walks out, and oh my God, it's the village. And he just walks out. He's not even like broken or defeated or anything. He's just like, yeah, I kind of guess so, and moves on.
There's a Charlie Brown vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Away the football.
I like the gun action in this. I like the rifle shooting.
The rifle shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the guy's on the cliff and he's shooting at Rover.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, you could actually see the holes in Rover too, which is cool. It doesn't, even though this is a balloon, it doesn't make it look like a balloon, even with the bullet holes. That's something I liked about it too. It was a really good job by the camera crew, the camera operators, and really just the camera work in general was really good in this episode.
Oh, it's a marvelous piece of storytelling. I mean, probably as the archetypal prisoner episode.
Yeah.
It's the archetypal. If you're just going to show someone one prisoner episode, and you want them to get the vibe of the show, and enjoy many of the elements at their best, it's a great one to trot out.
So the girl, number 8, that's McGowan's daughter, or?
Well,
go ahead.
I think in some of the scenes where you don't see her face, but he's interacting with her and so on. In some of those shots, it apparently was his daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because his daughter mentioned as much in the documentary In My Mind. So yeah, and McGowan.
Why is this documentary just in your mind?
That's the name of the documentary, In My Mind.
Well, yeah, but it's just, what is the name of the documentary? I don't know. It's on second. Sorry, I'm just being a weirdo.
What did you? Why? Here's a question. I like the fact that they had different number 2s, but why not keep Leo as the permanent number 2 here?
Well, if you follow the McGowan 7, he is the last number 2.
Right.
And Gordon, you go. I've been.
And from a narrative perspective, if it's every week, imagine it gets monotonous. Every week it's the same number 2, and McGowan defeats him, and McGowan doesn't get off the island. Mm-hmm. And you're not gonna watch after that.
Yeah, I mean, if Ian McKellen couldn't get the idea of just one number 2 for the whole series off the ground, nobody's gonna be able to do it.
Yeah. Here's something fun for you guys for the next time we do this. Pick 17 different number twos from an actor and actress standpoint. Me and Gordon were somewhat doing this.
Well, there were. Well, hold on. Hold on. Well, no, there's 17 episodes, 3 with Leo McKern, so that's 14, and then 2 with
Colin Gordon.
Colin Gordon, so that's 12. So there are 12 number twos. I think
12 different.
Mm-hmm.
So pick 12 different number twos, actors and actors. Me and Gordon were somewhat doing this an episode ago when you signed off earlier. But that's a task I'm going to assign to all 3 of us for next time.
Hold on. What? Now, what's the task?
Pick. Okay, let's say they rebooted The Prisoner. Okay, pick a number 6 to pick somebody to play number 6.
Okay.
And pick 12 different number twos.
Oh, well, okay, sure.
I tagged you guys on who would be my number 6 on Twitter. I don't know if you saw
Who's that guy? I never heard of the fellow.
He was the guy who starred in Archive 81.
Oh, he's great.
That's who.
He's great. Well, in Archive 81, basically he is number 6,
yeah.
and the guy who's running the evil corporation is number 2.
Yeah. So he's sort of already somewhat played the prisoner.
A little bit, yeah.
So that's why I picked him.
Did you see Archive 81?
No, I have never seen Archive 81.
I'll tell you what, gosh, that's a Jewel. That's another one.
Yeah, it's really good. It's Netflix was stupid for canceling it.
That's really worth at least a series, a half-hour look at. It's got Lovecraft in it. It's got wow. I think it's maybe the best modern horror series that we've gotten. It's not necessarily the scariest, whatever that means, but it manages to be classy without being antiseptic.
Yeah.
It's brilliantly written. It's fun in weird ways and strange ways. It's heartrending, and it does something we don't see very often nowadays, and that is it shows a really appropriate, emotionally intimate friendship between men. A mature, thoughtful. It's great modeling, honestly.
And too, in a way, it tells a love story across time.
A great love story.
Yeah.
It is one of those shows that somehow manages not necessarily to be all things to all people, but it does a lot. And it got good ratings, as I recall. It was a critic's darling. I was very surprised that it didn't get a second season. But ending the way that it does, if you pretend there's no second season that was planned, it just has a great Rod Serling kind of FU ending that works on its own. It just so here I am.
It makes you feel like John Carpenter was directing the last episode.
It manages to be both very cold in certain ways and so warm and affectionate at the same time towards characters who deserve it.
Yeah. What's really shocking too is no other network has picked it up either, which is just, again, it's shocking because it was really well written and well acted as well.
That may be why. Just on really taking things into tangent land, have either of you seen The Last Picard or The Last Mandalorian?
I saw The Last Picard.
What did you think?
I think it was a really good. I think season 3 of Picard was the best of the 3 seasons. I think it brought things to a really nice emotional ending, and it didn't rely on that kind of. I was so glad it wasn't Nemesis. I mean, that's probably the kindest thing I can say about. I was so glad. Now we can actually retcon Nemesis.
Well, we can. It's not so bad. The existence of it. Because we know that it's going to this other place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on episode 3 of Picard. I haven't got to the end yet.
But
I'll check it out. I'll get there eventually. Yeah, eventually. What what did you guys think of how they? I like how they shot the village in this episode too. There was a lot of cool. I don't know. The camera operators really do a great job of using these different camera views in each episode.
It's told very. It's not just the camera work; it's the editing.
Yes.
It's really tightly made. The only place where the editing gets kind of funny is when, and maybe this is on purpose, when number 6 builds the entire boat in a day, carving it out of a tree. There's no attempt at montage. He's not in a different jacket at different times. There's no attempt to show this. Oh, it's just in an afternoon. All that repressed Catholic rage really helps you in the woodworking department.
Yeah, and I must have been absent from school when they taught us how to carve a boat out of a tree, because we didn't learn that in Catholic school.
You do well. You do learn it.
You had Vatican II.
That was extracurricular activity. That was the Boy Scout extracurricular activity after school.
Yeah.
Boat carving out of a tree.
Yeah. You do learn that in the Boy Scouts, actually, a bit. Now, what did you guys think of Liam McCurn's and Patrick McGowan's chemistry? Really, really great.
It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've watched those two guys do anything.
I want to see them in a traveling production of The Odd Couple. Where McGowan plays Felix and McCurn Oscar Monday, Wednesday, Friday. McCurn plays Felix and McGowan Oscar Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and then Sunday they get the day off.
Sunday they're the Pigeon Sisters.
Oh, okay.
That's yeah.
Or McGowan and Kern in The Perfect Strangers reboot. So that would have been good.
It's never been more perfect.
What do you rate this episode?
Out of how many stars?
1 out of 10.
10.
10. Yeah, it tells you it's a great self-contained story. It also, I think, says a lot about the kind of people who run the village, the kind of people who get involved in the village, and it also really, I think, reveals a lot about McGowan's character. And again, I think I always go back to that matter of conscience, because the whole big MacGuffin of the series is why did you resign? And just saying, hey, I resigned as a matter of conscience, that's, I think, all you need to know, because I think it speaks volumes without necessarily saying a lot.
Yeah. For me, this episode, there are episodes of great television series that not only epitomize everything that's great, wonderful about that series, but also are just wonderful examples of the art of television, where you can take it out of the context of the show and just say, hey, it's like Sitting on the Edge of Forever. Do you want to see a great hour of television storytelling? Yes? Terrific. Here we go.
I like at the end towards the end when they got all those crafts that look like Liam McGurn. It's like, I wonder how many hours that actually took.
They're all sucking up. Yeah, and how I think there's a strange sincerity to how he talks about number 38 and her contribution to the village. I think I want to see more of their relationship, because I think there probably was kind of Mrs. Butterworth, you number 6, number 38, I'll eat the cookies you made for me, kind of thing. I would like to believe that was just another dimension. He found a sweet old woman who was Moneypenny or something like that, and is stuck there, and it's better than the retirement home she was going to be in. So
yeah, and it's nice to see number 6 at least. he's not contemptuous of everyone in the village. He's just contemptuous of the way the village is run and the philosophy behind the village.
Yeah. 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 It's nice to see him being a sweet boy. Because you get the idea that little John Drake was to the grandmothers and so on, was a really, he would help with the dishes and everything else, and they probably repaired things around her house because the repair crew didn't know what they were doing, and just to shame them, by the time they're there, number 6 is already fixed.
He'd head down to the corner store, get the grannies their smokes.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna take all my units and give it to number 38 for her artwork. And I like how he goes over and shakes her hand. It's straight up legitimate too.
It is. It is. That may be my favorite moment of the episode. There's so many, just because it's so sweet, and it's both out of left field, but it's completely in keeping with his character in a retroactive sense. We see it and we go, yeah, that does make sense for that guy. Sure.
Have you what's you guys' favorite wrestling match before we get on out of here?
What?
Wrestling match?
Yeah,
you guys talked about wrestling before.
When Jerry King Lawler slapped Kaufman on Letterman. That's as far as my wrestling knowledge goes.
Well, it involved a youthful indiscretion in college involving me and several sorority sisters, and I'm leaving it there.
Oh my gosh, that's interesting. Okay, I'll give you my favorite wrestling match I ever watched, and it's really good. WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart.
Yes.
Great match.
That's my second choice.
Great match. Stone Cold Steve Austin bleeds. It was actually Bret Hart's idea for him to get color. And Stone Cold Steve Austin does not tap out from the sharpshooter, which helps make his character, even though he does lose the match. But great match. If you ever want to go check it out, go check it out. I highly recommend it. That match did help make Stone Cold even more. And Bret Hart was one of the best technicians ever. Great storyteller as well. So is there anything you guys want to add about this episode?
Go watch it. If you haven't seen it and you're hearing us talk about The Prisoner, you're just going to watch one Prisoner episode, what the hell? Make it this one.
Yeah, go to Tubi, go to The Prisoner, watch it, enjoy the ads. But yeah, you will, if there's one episode that you should watch throughout all of this, when we're doing a little podcast summary discussion wrestling thing, make sure it's the Chimes of Big Ben.
Yeah, I really liked this episode as well.
Did you watch that one yet?
You didn't watch it, I did.
Well, then what the hell? You need to go watch it with me. We need to pick up where we left off.
Yeah.
Start to watch it with me, and then you leave me and go watch the rest of them.
Yeah, I had Julie watch the pilot episode. By the way, we're not doing these in the order we started. We're doing these in the Magooin 7 order.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, the guy who created the show had 7 episodes that he really thought mattered, and he had an order to watch them in. And if you watch just those 7 in that order, you get a really interesting, evolving story.
Kind of how when people watch Star Wars, they watch them in different orders.
Yeah, in a sense.
Yeah, I watched in Franciscan, Gordon in Dominican.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send. What I'll do is I'll send you a link to the Collinsport Historical Society. Patrick has the Magooin 7. He did an article about it. Really good article.
Talk about it. It's kind of gives you a map.
Yeah. I really like how this episode is very emotional for number 6, and he goes through a lot of emotion as well. And he manages not, again, you sort of did feel like he was going to have this romantic relationship with number 8, but he doesn't. And at times you sort of wonder, well, is he pulling her along? No, he's not. She's pulling him along, which is really, really good. Yes, absolutely. Go check out the Chimes of Big Ben. Guys, what episode is next?
Once Upon a Time.
Nice. Links to Gordon Dymowski's Amazon page and where you can get the Dark Shadows Daybook is on Amazon. Unbound is on Amazon. Both links will be in the description box. Go check it out, guys. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. When's the next day we can do this?
You tell me.
Gordon,
you tell us.
Well, I'm not available tomorrow or Saturday, so let's aim for Sunday.
Okay, Sunday it is. I have a podcast tomorrow night. I'm doing Nicholas Blair with Susie and oh God, I'm gonna kick myself. What's the other guy's name?
I don't know.
Oh God.
Do me kick you for you?
Yeah, kick me hard. 2 people. All right,
I always
guys.
kick you for you.
Well, you'll know tomorrow night
Yeah, you'll know
because they'll
tomorrow.
show up and you'll be like, okay, there's Susie and who else?
I know.
And they'll be like, okay, oh, thanks, Jewel. Thanks for, for
my
remembering me.
My senior citizen is showing. You guys.
It's okay, Grandpa.
Yeah, thank you. You guys have a great night. Be safe.
Take care, Jewel.
Good night.
Bye.
Be safe.
Be safe.